Right, hello everyone. My name is Lily, and today I will be talking about debunking the four myths of Generation Z. So, what to expect for the presentation today? The main question leading this research was what prevents marketers and brands from advertising to Gen Z and in an engaging and effective way? So, the four myths that we're going to cover are that one, Gen Z has a shorter attention span than a goldfish. Two, Gen Z will conform to the habits of the older generation as they grow up. Three, Gen Z are multi-screening. And four, Gen Z can be targeted as a homogenous group. So we'll walk through all of these, and for me, and as for you as well, this is probably very personal, as we are Gen Z, so we'll see how this goes. So before we get to the myths, I just want to talk a little bit about why Gen Z is different. So we are digital natives. We're not necessarily like kids now. I babysit for a family, and one of the girls that I babysit for, she has her own iPhone, and she can't yet read, so she has to voice to text, and then have Siri read the text back to her. But she has her own iPhone. Now, I disagree that we are the same as this new upcoming generation. Um, but I did get my first phone in fourth grade. It was a little BlackBerry. So we don't know a life without technology, right? We don't know a life without being connected in lightning speed. We are always able to communicate. Um, Another thing that the article mentions is that text and video are the same for us. And what that means is we communicate face to face, but through technology. So we send Snapchat videos, we send voice memos, we call, we text, everything that we do, it's the same timeline. We don't have to wait to upload a video or anything like that. We can communicate multiple different ways within the same time span. Yeah, we're just so used to being instantly connected, and if we can't be, then we get frustrated. Um, we also live in an instant gratification world, especially through social media and digital advertising. Um, so for me, if it's boring, if I don't like it, I skip it. I'll change the channel. I'll go watch a different TikTok. I'll go to Instagram. I'll go to Snapchat. I'll change what I'm watching. Whereas that used to not be a possibility, our parents, they would have X amount of TV channels and they couldn't record. So if you missed it, you missed it, and you were watching what was on TV. And we have the luxury of millions of options at our fingertips, right when we want them. And one thing the article touches on again with this is the rise of Vine. And it says, if a person can tell a story in 6 seconds and a brand can't tell a story in 6 seconds, then the creative behind the brand has a problem. Which is just, I feel like the quote says it all. We are used to being communicated to in a very, very short time span as Gen Z. And if digital advertisers and marketers are not promoting directly to that and keeping that in mind when they're developing their brand and their marketing strategy, we're not going to pay attention, right? I'm not going to sit there and watch a 30-minute video when I can just scroll, or 30-second video, and the next TikTok is 5 seconds and it's funnier and more engaging, And then finally, Gen Z as a whole, we use ad blocking software. So almost 50% of 18 to 24-year-olds use ad blocking software. And advertising companies and just companies in general through their digital marketing campaigns, a lot of them just try to yell louder. And what that means is they make their marketing so intrusive that you can't avoid it even if you wanted to. When you're playing a game and you click and you get an ad and you try and click out of it, but then you somehow end up on a website saying buy now. That's them yelling louder. And this is where influencers and sponsor content can come into play because it's coming from people that we trust. It is less intrusive, less in your face. And when you are a part of something, you're more likely to engage with it and less likely to do whatever you need to do to block it. So Those are some really big points the article explains on why Gen Z is different. So let's get to the myths of Gen Z. Moving on to the next myth. The second myth is that Gen Z will conform to the habits of the older generation as we grow up. Um, and that is not true because research is showing that we are breaking the patterns of turning into our parents. Um, Traditionally, they would see where, you know, you would grow up and in high school and college, you would rebel. But once it's time to settle down, we settle down and then become more like our parents. But Gen Z is breaking that standard. And so advertisers and marketers cannot communicate with us and advertise to us the same way that they advertise to our parents, because what research is showing is that we're not going to end up exactly like our parents. Um, and then the other thing is Gen Z is not mobile first, we are mobile only. So um, with that, earned media is outweighing paid media. Earned media is like buzz that is coming around that your company is not coming up with. So when you reshare something, when you comment, earned media is what the public is saying and doing about your own media. And then paid media is when you pay to create an advertisement, that kind of stuff. And an example is Donald Trump. His budget for paid media was very low, but clearly Donald Trump is known to everybody because he had a lot of earned media. People were always talking about him, good or bad. There was a lot of communication about Donald Trump. So earned media is outweighing paid media. The next myth is that marketers think Gen Z doesn't focus because our attention is on multiple screens at once, right? So Gen Z are multi-screening. Um, this is proven untrue. However, we do switch between screens very quickly, but we are not looking at multiple at once. And if you think you are, you're not effectively, at least. You are paying attention to one screen at a time. So how do marketers combat this? They need to capture Gen Z's attention immediately. One thing that advertisers are doing right now is putting the same content across all platforms. So the exact same advertisement on Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok and an email ad and a commercial, right? But that is not effective, not as effective as focusing your advertisement more to be captivating immediately. That way, we're not bouncing between screens seeing the same advertisement, but we have all of our focus on one screen seeing the one advertisement. Because our attention as Gen Z goes to the most compelling message immediately. So they should focus on making advertisements that are immediately engaging and attention grabbing, right? Make the message compelling so that that's where our attention goes. Um, and the last point with this one is that the old rules of marketing don't apply. The hierarchy of screens has been dismantled. So what it used to be is whatever was on the TV, that's where your attention was. And then if you were deciding to take your attention away, then your attention would go to your phone, right? So TV was first, phone was second. Now that's not the case. All screens are equal and we have more screens. So it's more effective to make whatever advertisement you're doing captivating instead of trying to place them across every screen. And finally, the last one is that Gen Z can be targeted as a homogenous group. Um, Gen Z has a lot of common habits, however, we are not the same across the board. Um, it's a mistake that advertisers make to see us as a cohort, as one group of people. Um, and we have more data than ever on Gen Z, on our demographics, on our patterns, on our history, on everything. We have more data than ever. So um, we know that there are many, many different subgroups within Gen Z. And so it's lazy to market to just Gen Z as a whole because of our age. Um, it's important to consider interests, environment, geography, profession, et cetera, et cetera. Everything that you can think of makes the people in Generation Z different, and it's important to market to them differently. Um, and one last mistake that the marketers and advertisers are making are just trying to use current slang or lingo to speak to Gen Z. However, that's also not that effective. Many Gen Zs would find that cringy, some would say. Yeah, that was horrible. And anyway, it's about finding Gen Z's intrinsic needs, figuring out what they actually want and why, and then being able to market to that, not to what they think will get them in with Gen Z. So that is all I have today. Thank you for watching and debunking the 4 myths of Gen Z with me.